Hi, this is Mark Rosen from Wcco TV, and it's my pleasure to introduce my good friend Ron Henderson, the Fitness King.
Welcome to Motivation. On today's show, we're going to talk about your finances and your fitness. I'm Ron Henderson, aka the Fitness King, and with me is my guest, Darryl Savage. Welcome to Motivation. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Ron. I'm doing great.
Yes, nice to have you. Darryl is a financial consultant. He works at Thrivent. How do you say it?
Correct. Thrivent Financial.
Thrivent Financial. That's hard to get off the tongue when you get to be a little older, Darryl.
Well, and I guess I should have trouble saying it as well.
Yes. Again, welcome to Motivation. I want to get up close and personal with you today. I love doing this show, by the way. I love it because it gives me an opportunity to meet different people and to hear their story with the hopes, folks at home, that it might motivate you to start making some better choices with your life and with your finances. Well, Darryl, how did you actually, you live here in Minnesota, but where are you from?
I'm from Los Angeles, born and raised. My parents moved there from Mississippi and from Oklahoma. when they were very young,
Okay.
and they had me there. I'm an only child and loved growing up. LA is a great place to grow up as a child.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And went to college out there, and my goal and my professional start was in television news.
Okay.
And as you can imagine, like being an actress or actor in New York, it's
Yep.
go away, a little boy or girl, get experience in another city and then come back. So that's what I did. I went through Texas and then landed here and had the wonderful opportunity to work as a TV news reporter at Wcco TV Channel 4.
Okay, let's back up just a second, because first of all, you got me with the Oklahoma. I'm like, okay, are you like the Black John Wayne? Did you ride horses out there?
I didn't see, now that wasn't me, that was my mom who was out there. My whole life was in Los Angeles, and I loved it there, but my parents have their roots in the South, and we get back, not as much as I would like now, but when I was younger, much more often.
Okay, so Los Angeles, were you on the news in Los Angeles?
I was not. I worked as a writer there. Some people may remember the name Connie Chung. She was
yes, of course.
a national
Yes.
anchor, and she was a local reporter and anchor in Los Angeles for quite a while, and I
Okay.
was her copy ripper, her
Okay.
production assistant.
Okay.
As the writers wrote the script, then I would separate it, give it to the anchors to read, give it to the producers, give it to the graphics folks, and that's how I got my start.
Okay.
And then had to move to a smaller town, get experience on the air as a reporter and anchor, and work your way back through larger
Right,
cities.
right,
And
right.
I had the opportunity to come to Minneapolis, St. Paul area.
And so you have editing background.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so folks, from now on, you're gonna notice there's gonna be a twist on the show. Motivation's gonna sound better, because he's gonna edit all my stuff.
I'll do my best.
You'll do your best, yeah. So you came to Minnesota, how many years ago was that?
That was 28 years ago,
Okay.
a long time ago.
And when you came here, was it you just moved, or did you have a job set up already?
I had a job set up.
And what was that job?
It was to work as what I would call as an on-air intern and reporter
Okay.
at WCCO, knowing that my role was to be on the air, but it was because I had a pretty big leap from a small town
Right.
station, an opportunity where the network could get a chance to look at me. And things worked out pretty well. I had the good fortune to be there for 6 years. I really, really enjoyed it.
Really? So did you always have passion for it? I mean, was it like did you grow up thinking, hey, I want to be on the news? What was it?
I did. I thought probably initially sportscasting, and I thought whether it was a sports reporter on a newscast, I wanted something that was that exciting for me.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was a stage in our industry where a lot of former athletes, they would retire,
Yep.
and then they would be on the air.
Oh, yeah.
And I just thought, well, I better be smart, being that I wasn't a professional athlete,
Right.
to work hard to get to a certain place and then get bumped by a retiring athlete. I thought maybe I should be a little more versatile and focused on news. My beat, or my primary
Yep.
focus,
Mhm.
was education reporting
Yep.
here in the cities. But I covered weather, I covered sports, I covered investigative things. I had a chance
Okay.
to cover natural disasters and elections. A little bit of everything, which was wonderfully exciting.
Sounds great. Now, how long ago was that?
That was from 1987
1987.
to 93,
And
and it was
why did
a
you leave?
wonderful
If I can interrupt
opportunity.
you, Darryl, why did you leave?
It was a great thing to do as a single male. Very exciting. You never knew what was coming next. But I got married to a wonderful woman named Karen, and she's a mosaic artist. She also worked as a speech clinician in the school district.
Okay.
And when I married Karen and we had our first child, CJ, I started looking at things differently. CJ.
She works for the Star Tribune.
A different CJ.
Okay.
I started looking at things differently because all of a sudden, what made news
Right.
started looking more dangerous to me. All of a sudden, flying toward tornadoes, running into riots,
Right.
sticking my foot into floodwaters. I realized at some point it's going to end, and maybe not end well.
Right.
One of the last requests that I had, Ron, in my last year and a half at CCO was to go undercover in a crack house. So while that would
At CCO.
at CCO,
They asked you to go undercover.
yeah. And I thought
I just
news
was
was news.
interesting.
At TV, I will say, isn't just news.
Right.
News with pictures that tell a story,
Oh, yeah.
that get people's attention. That certainly would have done so. Had the people I was photographing
Right, sure.
seen a camera on me, the next story just might have been about my murder. And
Exactly,
and I
exactly.
really realized that I needed to do something different, not only for myself, but for my family.
Right.
And
And
I did
so you
that.
left. How did that affect your family?
It gave us more flexibility initially. My weekends became more my weekends where I was working before at Channel 4. My days off happened to be in the
Right.
middle of the week.
Right.
And of course, we were so much run by the news of the day.
Right.
I happened to have, when I was realizing I wanted to move to another field, an insurance agent who did a great job taking care of my family with insurance, with planning for the future, and I saw it as a pretty noble career. And that's where I moved. Some 23 years ago, I moved into insurance, at that point State Farm Insurance.
Okay.
Had 2 decades there and really enjoyed it. And I love to do that, to help people plan for their futures and protect their
Yep,
families.
Yep. And how do you do that?
It really is finding out, first of all, what their goals are. Anytime somebody comes in with a cookie cutter and says, this is what you must do, well, I'd run as fast as you can. Because it really should come down to what's important to you, what's important to your family, what your goals and priorities are. Now, what we need and what we want, sometimes it's 2 different things.
Right.
So part of my role is to talk through with people what their priorities are, what their goals are, what their strategies are, what have they done to this point, and see what I can do to help them to protect their families and to protect themselves.
Okay, so a total stranger is knocking on your door, they're knocking on the door. Hello, hello, hello. You come to the door. This person's never invested at all. They don't have an insurance policy, they don't have a retirement or nothing. What do you do for them? Can you kind of just break that down? Because there's a lot of people out there that haven't planned, there's people that, whatever, even prince and different people you would think that would be prepared. What do you do with that person? They walk in the door, because we have an audience of people who are out there that need to hear your information. Then I also want to hear how you tie that in with the physical part.
First of all, it's not judging. I think one of the biggest fears that people have is that they're gonna feel ashamed or embarrassed because they are not where they want to be.
Oh, yeah.
Very few of us are where we
Yeah.
want to be.
Amen.
So it is listening to what they want to accomplish,
Yeah.
figure out what is a priority that they have already taken action on and what they really just need education on just to get the ball rolling. So it doesn't matter what the conversation was like with the woman I had yesterday or the man I'm having tomorrow. It's about being there in the moment, what's
Right,
important to
right,
you,
right.
what have you done, are your circumstances, what is, and I know we'll come back to this, physical health.
Oh, yeah.
That really is going to determine in many cases what the strategy is financially and in other ways. Children, are you supporting children? Are you supporting in this family, in this sandwich generation, are you
Right.
supporting your parents? And to look at what really needs to be the first step.
Right.
Look at potential recommendations based on options that they have, finances that they have been working on, fears and concerns they have. Where are they when it comes to debt? Where are they with their children's education?
Right.
And from that, put together a strategy based on How much money you have in your Social Security pot? How
What
much
what
do
if
you have in a
what if
401k?
what if they don't even really have any money? Let's say they're making maybe 30 grand a year, they're supporting a family of 4, what can they do?
Let's talk about debt. Let's talk about the money that you make and the money that you spend. Because that difference is everything.
Right.
That difference is what you use to pay down debt. That difference is what you would use to save for retirement, to buy a cabin,
Sure.
to help other family members. So to start wherever they are and help them understand some of the laws that can benefit them, some of the products that can benefit them. And I'd say the biggest thing, Ron, is just taking the first step and getting started.
Right.
I think one of the things that scares me the most is the fact that people, the longer we wait, and we've all been there, we procrastinate on a job we need to do, we procrastinate on sending in a form, every day it gets harder and harder. So as a result, a lot of times people are not where they want to be. Every single day in this country, another 10,000 people turn 65, and the great majority of them have not planned
Right.
or are not at the point they want to be when it comes to retirement.
Right,
So
right.
it's helping people know, as long as we have time, there are things that we can do to try to get rid of the bad interest or
Right.
debt and start utilizing the good interest or
So
savings.
you help with that too as well?
Absolutely. Start there and also look at the things that could happen to them. So if they're not here tomorrow, sickness, injury, death, that their family would be taken care of. If that's a priority for them, their business would be taken care of.
Right.
And
Okay.
so let's look at best case, worst case.
Yep. Mhm.
You're not here tomorrow, or you're here for the next
Right,
80 years.
right. And let me interrupt you on that point. So somebody's coming into your office, they're making 38,000, whatever, $38,000 a year. They don't have a lot of money, but you can actually still help improve the quality of the person's physical life as well?
Absolutely. Well,
And financial life.
we know that the two are tied so closely. If you are not where you would like to be financially, that wears on you physically.
Right.
If you're not taking care of yourself physically, you're gonna have less time to save that money financially.
Right.
So they really do go hand in hand. And it's about power and independence. We would like to feel that we have control and making sure our families are gonna be okay if we're not here.
Sure.
If we are not taking care of our bodies,
Yep.
we wanna have insurance, so if I'm not here, they'll be okay. Well, you may not be able to get it
Sure.
because of your health.
Sure.
So being able to take care of yourself physically puts us in a position where financially we can be all right.
Oh, yeah, I've always said, the book I wrote, Fitness Economics, I talk about that because if you're 78 and you're in great shape, you wanna keep investing, you wanna keep moving up with things. You're buying property, but if you're 65 and you're ill, there's a less likelihood of you investing in anything.
And you have to make different decisions,
Oh, yes.
different priorities. All of a sudden, if I don't have what I would think is a long life expectancy
Right,
because of my
right.
personal health,
Oh, yeah.
because of my family history, well, then I probably will have strategies where I utilize more money now sooner
Right,
because
right.
I may not be here as long.
That's right, right.
And I think one of the things when you ask about what's the first step, Ron, that's really important for people to know, it really just helps with understanding budgets.
Yep.
How much money do I truly make, which of
Yep.
course is not at all what is on that form that I sign when I start working at a company, because let's remember taxes, let's remember what we're taking out for benefits,
Right,
let's remember
yep,
all those other things.
yep.
And then how much are you really spending at home?
Right.
How much of it can we control? There are things that will never go away,
Oh,
generally.
oh, yeah.
Electricity, gas, food,
Right.
whatever housing is. But there are some things that may change. You may not spend as much in a clothing budget once I retire and I'm
Right,
not
right.
going to work every day.
Yep.
But there are some other things that may go up. Health costs, we know
Right.
that in this country. So one of the key things is to help people figure out what true income is, what their expenses are. Are there things that they can or are willing to adjust that would
Right.
give them more money to protect themselves, to save for their
Right.
future?
And my question now would be, there are so many people out there, there's so many financial consultants out there. Why would somebody pick up the phone and call Darryl Savage, okay, Thrivent, why would they call you?
I would like it to be because they have some ideas and goals on where they want to be. The reality is, I think the reason a lot of people pick up the phone is because something has happened in their life.
Right.
They have seen a parent, a grandparent get ill. They've seen an aunt or an uncle not plan and the bad decisions that now they have had to make because of that. So I would say it's usually a life event. That's why people do it.
Right. Do you love what you do, Darryl?
Absolutely love what I do.
And why?
It's an education with people to have conversations about ways they can be more in control of their futures. And I think most people feel that they're more powerless than they are. They don't realize that there are all sorts of guidelines and rules to maximize how you can minimize, reduce, maybe even eliminate taxes in some ways. There are ways that people can have things into place, documents, so even if they're gone, their business and their partner can continue on. So to explain those sorts of things, there are laws in this country, Ron. The government realizes that business owners, when you get started in a business, you're funneling all your extra money, generally, into that business. You may not be saving for your retirement the way you would like. Well, there are rules that allow you to catch up, save more for your retirement later as a business owner.
There's some rules?
There are rules and guidelines. There are different amounts, depending on the sorts of retirement plans that you have, that can give you different options than you would have as an employee.
There are rules. On that note, I'm going to pause. I'm Ron Henderson, the Fitness King, with my guest, Darryl Savage. Now, if you've been watching the show, you heard what he just said. There are rules, all right? Ron@fitnessking.com. If you'd like to see Darryl Savage come back on and actually break it down even more at a later date, email me, ron@fitnessking.com. We're talking about some things that are very important to me because financial fitness is great, physical fitness is great, but you really want to combine the two because what is wealth without health? And I asked you the question about why would people call you, and you gave me a response. My answer would probably be they would call you because they can tell that you care. I met Darryl probably about, I think, 6 weeks ago, and the thing that would impress me was you weren't trying to pressure me into anything. I could tell that you had a general concern for people, and that always excites me because 36 years doing what I'm doing, I do it because I care about people's health. And again, people can be in the best shape possible, but if you don't have any money, come on. Okay.
Money isn't everything, but it certainly gives us the things we want.
Exactly. So on that note as well, I know you have some key strategies. Can you break a few of those down for me?
Absolutely. I would say, in a good way, be selfish. Think about taking care of yourself. The analogy that I use is, for those of us who have flown on a plane, when the flight attendant starts the pre-flight process, and they say in the unlikely event of the loss of cabin pressure, oxygen mask will come down. And if you're sitting next to a child, remember what they always say, put yours on first. If you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be of a lot of service or help to those around you. Those around you, it's your children, it's your spouse, it's your business. So one of the things that we really urge people to do is to make sure that they do get their financial and physical houses in order first. Now, when people do that and they feel comfortable, it works so much better for the community because one of the things that Thrivent Financial really focuses on is giving back to the community in volunteerism, in time, in dollars. So when people are at a place where they feel comfortable being able to give more to others and feel they're still okay, everyone around them benefits. So that's one of the things that I really stress as a key strategy.
Okay, now I know something else you've mentioned too about making interest work for you. Hey, break that down a little bit.
The reality is interest is a good or bad thing. It depends on if it's working for you or against you. Most of us have had times in our lives where the bad interest is the credit card interest that just gets out of control. The great interest is not having to be paying on that debt, but rather having money that is going to continue to build for us for the next 20, 30, 40, 50, however many years we need it, until we need money to purchase a home, until we retire, until we want to hand down our legacy to those around us. So to get started early, I often jokingly will say to people exactly where it is. Sometimes it's almost a technicality. Getting into the habit of getting started and having money set aside is extremely important.
That's important. And I know folks at home right now, they're like, why doesn't he give out the number? Do you have a number that you could give out just for people listening if they want to get a hold of you? Number, email address?
Absolutely. And I work for Dakota Valley Associates is the name of our team. Myself, Jeremy, Royce. We're based in Eagan. I live in Minneapolis. We serve the entire state of Minnesota. And our phone number is 651-493-8883. 651-493-8883. And what you will get is a concern for putting people in a better place. I think sometimes our industry gets a black eye, and deservedly so,
Oh, yeah.
when people are really pushy.
Oh, yeah.
The reality is, the only thing you get out of pushy is people get turned off, and
Yep.
maybe you say yes today and no tomorrow, and that's not what we're looking for.
Yep.
We want to find how we can help people, whether it's in strategies for at retirement. What assets do you take first?
Right.
How do you get out of debt?
Yep.
How do you start saving for education for yourself or your children?
Yep.
So it really is to let people know the options that are out there and find out what's important to them.
Sounds good to me, Darryl. Do you have any other passions?
I would say I really want to help people be prepared for education. I have a 24-year-old son, CJ, graduated from Wisconsin-Madison. I'm very, very proud of him. He's
24-year-old son?
24 years old.
You have when you were 5? What,
Yeah, that's it. No,
you look
2.
40. No, you
Come
look
on.
like you're 40.
Yeah, well, I have you fooled.
Yeah, you look like you're 40.
He's doing very well, working at General Mills, and he's really
Okay.
enjoying it. I have a daughter, Andrea, just finished her second year at Notre Dame, and I have McKenna, who has just a few days left in high school. She's moving on to college at Creighton. One of the things I really want to stress, a lot of people will hear the names of some of the higher priced private schools
Sure,
around the country and think, well, that's not for me, I can't do it. Well, I spend a lot of time in education strategies
Yep.
because the net cost to a family in many cases can be less for a private school than a public school.
Right.
It's all about knowing where to find the aid, and of course the best aid, if you can get it, is scholarship as
Right.
opposed to
Right.
loans, which you'd have to pay back. So to help people put themselves in a position where, again, they have more choices when it comes to education.
Right, sounds good. I have 2 questions for you. One would be, because I like to throw things at people.
Okay.
What would be one of your personal greatest fears that you would have?
A personal fear would be to have a conversation with someone who I already had a relationship with,
Yep.
and I could have offered some advice, had a conversation that could have helped their family, and I didn't mention something. When I think about the fact that a good friend could be playing volleyball with me, could go golfing with me,
Right.
and all we talk about is the weather,
Right.
and I don't talk about how I can protect their family,
Right, right.
only to have a spouse in tears call me and say, "No, I know you hung out with Bob all the time. Did you ever talk to him about life insurance? Did you ever talk to him about how much was in our retirement plans and if we're going to be okay?" And if I said, "No, I didn't,"
Right,
I would carry that to my grave.
okay.
So I don't have a problem talking to friends about what I do
Good.
and sharing the options that they have, to put people in a position where they can vote on what they want to do and what they want to take care of or not. At least then I can feel good about the fact that I gave them the choice.
Right, and you were talking about life insurance. In my book, I talk about a life assurance plan and why it's so important to be in good physical shape, because you can have the money, but you want to have the surety that you can enjoy those later years in life. And so the same way, if you haven't made proper investments into your folks at home, your health bank account, your financial bank account, the same thing will happen. All of a sudden you're in an accident, trauma hits your body, they rush you to the hospital. But your body's ability, Darryl, to handle that traumatic experience will be based on the investments that you've made into your physical life. So you may have all the
Agreed.
money in the bank, they can handle it, but when they start operating, they're gonna look at you and they're gonna say, I don't know if we can do that for her, because I think it would be a danger to her. Financially, it's similar to that,
Absolutely, and they work with each other.
hand in hand.
Stress of either shortens your ability to have a longer life,
Right, right.
and
Yep.
making sure that people
Yep.
realize that by not being physically active, and many of us, of course, now may have heard of or work with companies where there is
Yep.
incentive to join health clubs,
Oh,
to
yeah.
get in
Yeah.
shape, to start working with trainers like
Oh, yeah.
yourself. It's one of those things where that reduces everyone's health costs,
Oh, yeah.
and of course allows us to live longer. So to get some of those things in place, when we talk to people at our team about goal planning, it's not just putting money aside.
Right,
It's also, what are you doing physically?
right.
What are you doing to make sure that you have things in place for your family?
Mm-hmm.
And to communicate that with each other, so if the bad does happen,
Right.
people are prepared, but if the good happens and you live till you're 130, that you're prepared for that as
Right.
well.
Sounds good. What are your greatest joys?
My greatest joys are being able to have conversations with people and let them know confidently that they can retire earlier than they thought they could. Or they may have education options they didn't think they were ever going to have. Or to take a very bad circumstance and make it better, to have someone who's gone through a trauma or a bad event with a loss of a loved one or a serious or debilitating injury, know that they are okay because of the insurance that they had in place and some of the plans that they made. That, to me, is why I made the decision to leave the other business that I was in TV news, which I loved, to do something that I thought touched even more people and to help them be in a better and more stable position financially.
Sounds good. And folks at home, Ron Henderson, the Fitness King, anytime you see a guest on motivation, it's not just, I don't look at the person just as a guest. I bring people on the show that I feel have something to share with you in the hopes that it might motivate you to take action, whatever it is, whether it's somebody seeking to, maybe they wrote a book and they're trying to inspire people. Speaking here with Darryl Savage today because I feel that what he has to say is important. There are a lot of financial consultants out there. What touched me was I felt that you were very sincere. So I want people to hear your story so that people can start thinking financially fiscal as well as start thinking physically fiscal, because you have to have those two. So I guess I'm giving you kind of a rubber stamp. I'm saying, hey, feel free to call the guy. Well, I'm giving you a rubber stamp because I like your style, because you do seem very concerned about people. There's no pressure there whatsoever.
To me, there's victory just in sitting next to you, Ron, and being able to talk to people about the fact that if they, after watching the show, just start writing down, what are my expenses?
Yep.
What's my income? All right, with this that's left over, I'm gonna do something good with it.
Right.
That's a win. They don't have to call me. To me, that's a win.
Right.
If they want more specific information, if they want a strategy that's gonna be based for them, I certainly invite them to do that. And the way we work as a team, that call doesn't cost them anything, which is also something different compared to many who work in the industry. So to help people be in a better place financially, physically, that is what my goal is, and that's why I work for Thrivent Financial, and that's why I do what I do.
Right. On that note, do you mind sharing the number one more time? Because there might be a lot of people like me that are, old timers, 62 years of age. And,
Absolutely.
give them that information again, and so that they can get a hold of you.
Yes, it is 651-493-8883, 493-8883. My email address is Darryl, DARRYL.Savage, SAVAGE, at Thrivent.com, THRIVENT, one of the Fortune 500 companies, and we are not for profit. The money that we make funnels back into the community, and we feel great about that.
Now, question, is that a faith-based organization as well, if you don't mind sharing?
It is, absolutely. Many people will know years and years and years ago, Thrivent being known as, well, in Minnesota generally, Lutheran Brotherhood, in Wisconsin, Aid Association for Lutherans. They merged 15 years ago, changed the name to Thrivent Financial, and more recently, 3 years ago, decided we want to do more than just be formed through and based initially through the Lutheran Church, and to move to all faiths, a Christian-based organization that, because we started in the church, we're a fraternal benefit organization. We're owned by our members. Our profits, because we don't pay federal taxes, go right back into the community. So we feel great about that.
Darryl, I want to thank you for coming on Motivation. And on that note, folks at home, I want to say, whatever you do, stay motivated, stay positive, and keep watching Motivation. And Darryl, I have a copy of my latest book, Fitness Economics, I'm going to give to you.
I will take it.
With the hopes that you'll read it, because fitness, physical fitness, and financial fitness go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
And folks at home, don't forget it. It goes hand in hand. Thank you for watching Motivation. We're going to see you next time. Take care and stay fit.